Wow. It's raining again. It makes me think of 1989. I decided to go all out one year. As far as, well, I couldn't refinance my house. My house was 13.5% interest when I bought it in the late 70s. My house that my daughter still lives in. The previous year or two, in fact 1988, I think we had a week in a row 100 degrees weather. Everything dried out and burned up. And we've had like 3 or 4 years here where it's been warmer, drier. So this year, we're having a really wet year. In 1989, it rained till the 4th of July, the way I remember, at least every other day. And what that did to my work, because I had decided to go all in on installing lawns. I would go in and I would grade, come in with a tractor, grade, prepare, wow, that's before I got the hydro seeder. So the problem was there was so much building going on. And there was so much work. And I was just going to install new lawns. Well, so I went out and pre-sold. Like I got down payments on jobs. I don't remember how many lawns I had to install, a dozen or more before like by April I had all this work and I had all these down payments, and I took that money to get my business going that year, because every winter I would go broke and I would fall behind on my house payments. And so when the interest rates came down from 13.5%, my credit was shot. It was the weirdest thing. Like, they wouldn't refinance me because my credit was shot. So I was stuck with this interest rate, 13.5%, which I couldn't do anything about. And I had never made enough money. Well, depends on how you look at it. I mean, I screwed around enough, drinking and carrying on. I was always trying to get away from it, but it just seemed like if you're going to hang out, you do the bar. You have people over, you drink, you have fun. It just seemed like that's what everybody did. I mean, I didn't belong to anything, any group or whatever. So I had done this for a number of years where I would, in the spring, I would take the money, take the house payments, quit making them because I couldn't. I just said, well, fine. I had no money to finance. I never had no money to get going. I don't know if anyone knows what that's like. Like, you can get a loan to go to school, but if you want to start a business, I even went to Lakeland College and took a course on starting a business, and it really was pretty hilarious. Like, I didn't understand like drawing up a business plan. I wasn't starting that kind of business. You know, they consider a small business 50 employees. I consider that a large business. But the Small Business Administration, so you start learning all these things that the government doesn't do for you. They do for you, but they're not doing it for you. They're really doing it for themselves and the people that donate and support them. And they want to help business starts that they can collect taxes from, so that they can keep themselves going. But anyway, in 1989, I ain't done this for I bought the house in 81, the same year Kristen was born. And it was one struggle after another through the 80s of trying to get something going. I bought that house that Kristen lives on because I could start a business there. It was a commercial piece of property. Kathy hated it. Kathy was always trying to get me to buy a house. And I was just like, I wasn't ready because I didn't have a steady income. I didn't have a steady income till I got a survivor benefit from when Kathy died. It's the first time I got I could feel a little bit of security. So, in 89, I had started this thing that I had all these customers going, when the hell are you going to get our lawn installed? And I'm going, well, it has to stop raining because I can't come in and do a lawn in the yards were bigger. Anyhow, I remember in my mind that I broke even in October. That was the year after Dave went to San Francisco, and I had tried to go out there, and I just knew that how I was doing things was never going to work for me in Ohio. So I tried to get to California. Dave got his business started. I came home and I came up with this scheme, and so what happened was it rained till October, and I broke even, but then I went back in the hole again because I didn't have money for the winter. Every year before that, at least somehow, I would collect unemployment. That was before I collected unemployment. Unemployment didn't happen until, I would find some job in the winter always. I did water blasting. Every winter there was a different game. Find a job, get a factory job. I tried to do finish basements. I never had a building, so 89, I had the house, but I just had that tiny little garage. I built cabinets in the dining room. I built cabinets in the basement. When I'm mixing this stuff up time-wise so much, all I can say is by 1990, I never got it. We started losing our house. They started foreclosing. We were 6 months behind. Well, it ended up 13 months behind. We were 2 weeks from sheriff's sale. I mean, if you know what it's like to about get evicted and not know where you're going and not have where you're moving, have a dime a job. Uncle Phil got me a job. At Reserve Millwork on this machine, this molding machine that board to go in flat and square and come out molding with all the ins and outs, the OGs. And Kathy's dad got her a job. So we both had jobs. And it was a VA guaranteed loan. And really what that did was, just like the mortgage crisis was, the government made it possible to extend, the banks to extend money, loans to poor people. I didn't know that was how it worked, like the VA. So what was going on when I was losing my house and they were foreclosing, the VA was telling me, well, I couldn't just walk away from the house. Like there's states where you can just walk away, but what was going to happen was I was going to lose the house and I was going to owe the government money. Like a school loan. And they were telling me, well, we're not going to guarantee your loan. You're just going to have to, and you're going to owe us money. So, me and Kathy got jobs, both of us, and I drew up a plan, and I saved up 6, 8, 10 months. I don't know how I got my hands on $3,500, and so we were 2 weeks from sheriff's sale, and I drove all the way to Michigan, where like our mortgage was bounced from company to company to company. We'd get, I mean, it was weird. It wasn't like, so this was the stock market owning my house. This was the same thing that happened in 2008. Loaning people the money that weren't really qualified, and then the government being forced to pay back these rich people while you lost your house. So I don't know if you could follow that. I certainly understand how this happened, that I couldn't get, so I drove all the way to Michigan. I don't know, Southfield, Michigan. I don't remember what I thought I was going to accomplish. And then I came up with this idea, well, I'm just going to have to go to the VA and talk to them and tell them. I came up with a plan. I had $3,500, and I was going to make double house payments for a year. And I drew up this contract, and I went in the VA. I went upstairs. I went way upstairs, and I go, well, I want to talk to the person that's responsible for my mortgage for saying, no, they won't So I went up there with $3,500 cash in my pocket and this contract. And I found a woman. And she literally was the woman that could make the deal, let us keep our house, I can't believe I did this. So I'm sitting in this office, and she calls the mortgage company in Michigan, and she tells them, we have a homeowner here sitting here with $3,500 in a contract. to make double house payments for a year. Or he's gonna, and I told him, you can have the $3,500 and you can take my contract, or I'm gonna take this $3,500 and go and get a lawyer and file bankruptcy, and you can wait for another year to get a dime. And I mean, I don't remember how I don't think I was threatening. And the woman literally goes, okay. She calls work, she comes, tells them, I got a man sitting here with $3,500 in a contract to make double house payments for a year. He says him and his wife both have jobs. Will you accept his terms? And that woman had the power to re-guarantee that loan, and that's what she did. And so 2 weeks from sheriff's sale, 13 months behind on our house payments, we're allowed to keep that house. And I worked at Uncle Phil's job for 2 years. Okay, so now usually I have horses waiting on me. I used to have cats and dogs, but it looks like nobody's out and Kathy's left the door open, but enough for now. Wow, who do we have here? So you're over there not letting the blind one in the stable, are you? And there's nothing anybody can do about that because that's your instinct, huh? Kick out the weak one. More food for yourself. There's Barney. Come on. Come on. There's my sweetheart. Yeah, there's my sweetheart. Yeah, she's my girl. She's my girl. You gonna come out and say hi? Hi. Yeah, she's my girl. Yeah, she's my girl. I'm sweetheart. And then you downgrade to, like a lecture program. We use two different types of feed during the year. We have a store called TSC in Logan. Well, there's a couple around close. And their feed is more expensive, so they price match. So We print out a price from Rural King. It's another supply store. And they're usually cheaper. And this feed here, Producer's Pride, is kind of stickier. In the winter it hardens up. You can't bust it loose in the bags. So in the winter, oh, here you are. I know, a little bit different. Let's go. Come on. Come on. No, move. So he come on, let's go. I came up with this game where I have more pans than horses because I try to get these guys started and keep them over here and then go back to the blind horse so she can get her share before they... Oh, here she comes. Yeah, come on over here. You can, come on. Come here. Come here, right here. Come here. There you go. So I spread it around to these other pans. We started getting the netting out on our... We use netting instead of ag cloth to keep the bugs off our plants. I eat a lot of leaves off of plants, and those are, a lot of them are the cabbage family. I forget the Latin name. So they'll move around and steal her food. So I spread it out. Six pans for 3 horses. Yeah, it's not entirely sealed up, but this old building's going to come out of here if I have the time, and the barn will be finished. But right now it's just kind of an addition.
Buffeting us all day, it makes it really hard to stay in touch with yourself enough to actually have the capacity to...
Hi! Hi! We have all we have is 2 cats. We used to have 5 or 6. We had a family. There's only 1 left of the family. Hi! I know. I know. Okay, well, you didn't even, as usual. Dogs are good garbage cleanup. They wash the dishes too. I mean, I'm not saying, but at least they clean the stuff off. It's kind of like pre-wash. Come on. We'll put you back there. There you go. Hi, Milo. Oh, there's Mr. Milo. There's Mr. Milo. I know.
Such a degree that I couldn't take care of myself before
There's my sweetheart. She's my girl. This is my sweetheart. She's my sweetheart. I know. I know. Don't you know? Okay. So, in Sugar Grove, so if those buildings were set up and organized, like I've been trying to do for years and years, get them, and I built shelves and shelves, and things have accumulated inside those buildings. I could go and show you the things that I didn't add to the building, and then I added things to the buildings, of course. And the one building, my building, the boy building, Fox's Garage, I just can't get it all organized. It has to methodically be gone through. I'm not one to just throw things out. Like we had this after my mom died, we had this pile. And we created this pile because and there was stuff there was books in German, World Book Encyclopedia. Like, we just threw stuff away, and it really wasn't my intention. It's kind of, a couple of us just thought, well, we just throw this stuff away. And a couple of us were kind of like, well, what can we do with this stuff? Can any of this have any value? Is it something we want to save? And what I could save ended up in an attic. I have an attic over my living space. I have my parents' foot lockers. And I don't know if there's photos in those foot lockers. I'm going to be digging them out and see what's there. I lost some photos of some stuff of mine, some of the old stuff. Well, mostly my stuff lost in the fire. Claudia lost all her photos, and she doesn't have any other living relatives beside her brother who died at the end of February here. So if she really tried hard, she could locate a relative, but there wasn't no. The way her family went was single parents and no kids for a couple generations. A grandmother that died. Well, I'm not going to get into all of it. So I didn't get to Claudia's stuff. I was going to do hers the following year, but we lost that in the house fire. So, you can see I ended up in this predicament down here away from Lake County, Ohio, Cleveland, Mentor, Painesville, in a roundabout fashion, because everything I would try was just not bringing me the success I needed. I couldn't, there was no, for people that have all, like, went and got a job, an education and a job, and I know you can lose your job, things change, you go and get another job, but in my case, I just realized that it just didn't matter what it wasn't going to fulfill me, it wasn't going to be something that I was going to stick with and then look elsewhere. Like most people, they work their job, they go home, they forget their job, and they try to enjoy their lives. Well, it didn't work out that way for me. If I could explain it, I'm not even sure myself. Sometimes I think it's an attitude. Sometimes I think it's in my bones because I was 9 years old out there in Minnesota. But, like, Lorene certainly has her problems. She, like, could never hold a job. Avis has gone through, I don't know, so many jobs. But even so, she gets a job and she'll stay there 2 or 3 years. Then she'll kind of get fed up, or they get fed up with her, and she'll move on. But like I say, I can't figure this out, where I just at one point became bound and determined. I remember in high school I was jealous of the boys whose fathers had businesses and they could go work for their dad in the summer, but of course they were in a different circumstance. They wouldn't know that perhaps what they were experiencing with their dad they probably would have rather just gone and got a job with a stranger than work for their dad, mom, whatever. I don't know. Dad got sick and was absent when I was becoming a teenager, and I just did all sorts of stupid shit to the point where I just didn't even want to go to school anymore. I only needed a couple credits, less than 2 credits to graduate. And I had loved school up until we went to the high school. It was hard It was hard in junior high. It was horrible when we moved to Pittsburgh. We had to climb these stairs up and down this hill from street to street. I was just, when we left Minnesota, I was just terrified of the whole circumstance. I didn't want to leave. One day Dad disappeared. So this would be 1962. They had come to visit Grandpa and Grandma Clammer. Herman and Laura had come, and I have photos that he was sick. My Grandpa Clammer was sick. He had diabetes. He was kind of like shriveling up, and I remember like he was losing weight and stuff. I remember Grandma letting him eat donuts and stuff. He says, what's the point? You know, he was supposed to be on a diet or whatever, but he was wasting away, and they were there. And then they came to visit. He was sick. They left, and it's like shortly after they were there was, I think, was, all I know is like we didn't, I had no inkling that there was anything wrong with our situation. But one day Dad left, and he didn't come back. And Mom had to pack us up, and we left. I was out in the cornfield. They were driving around, and I was like, I ain't going. And they finally got me in the car. We had a red and white 58 Chevrolet station wagon. So, for whatever reason, if they had a bad year or two of weather, and that's what farming is, you know, there's good years and bad years. I don't remember them experiencing a tragedy. I know they say there was like there was a recession in 1958. I don't know what happened. I don't know that Mom ever really explained it. I spent a lot of time talking to her, but not enough. Paul probably talked to her more, because he lived at home. He was the last one living it. Well, I don't know. I know I was like the first one to leave. I just thought you grew up and would leave. You weren't supposed to live at home for years. But I don't know why I had that idea. I just wanted to be independent on my own. And I had screwed things up so bad with schooling and everything. I went, so I dropped out I just quit going. I couldn't make myself go to school. It was really weird. Like, I would get people to skip school with me, and I screwed their lives up too, but everybody, like, there was nobody to skip school with anymore. I was like the last holdout, and I couldn't get it together and go back. And so they didn't even, the school, I mean, it was a school of almost 800 kids, from what would have been maybe 100 graduated from a small town to this faceless whatever. And I couldn't, I went out for everything in sports, and I just suck at sports. There's nothing I'm good at when it comes to sports. So I didn't know what the hell. I knew I was artistic. I was taking art classes. And I was always in college prep. They always put me in those honors classes. I tested well. In 8th grade, they even put me in this advanced math class called SMSG or something. Is that the right? Well, anyway. So I struggled. I went back the following year. Everybody graduated, and I still had to go back. And I had like a pass to leave early. Like I only had to take a couple classes. I don't even know why. I guess I still thought I was going to college. Well, I mean, I kept thinking I was going to college. I had to go to college. I was a good student if I gave it half an effort. But so that following year, God, how did I get through that? I think they just gave me a diploma. I think, like, I don't think I even finished the stuff properly because they sent me to Lakeland College, and I dropped out of that too. So, in my memory, it was the same week. I struggled hard. I went to the art teacher. I had him help me put together a portfolio. I got myself accepted into the Cleveland Institute of Art, and I got a it went, wow, I can hardly think. I went back in 72. It's when I met Kathy. Kathy was in my life. Like I had no real plan except I kept thinking I was going to college, but I didn't like reading. I had trouble reading. I just can't apply myself to pay attention to what I'm reading. I can't explain it. I had started experiencing that in high school when I was going. Like in English class, I just wasn't interested. I couldn't. All I know is I got a draft notice and accepted at Kent State is what I did. That's what it is. The first go around with trying to get into college was I applied to Kent State based on I don't know what. I know I got a grant. But like in the same week I got a grant to go to Kent State and I got a draft notice. And I was like, how could this fucking happen to me? I'm one of the last people you're going to put in an army and expect to have any luck with. I mean, so I went. I had to go. I wasn't going to go to Canada. I remember getting on the bus. Mom and Dad were there. I got a little brother that gives me shit about how I embarrass my parents and stuff. It's like, well, why don't you go join the army? You know? Why don't you go join the army and deal with the bullshit these people in our country come up with, these stupid wars. Okay, now I'm getting political. We're going to drop it. We're back in Sugar Grove. I'm done with this one.